Hey guys, Westy on the mic here.
Hey everybody, Westy's back. Had a very fun event this weekend in the Disc Golf Valley Players Tour, the second edition, sponsored by Discmania. I had probably the best event of my life so far, so I decided to speed up my rounds, and I'm going to show you just kind of how it all went. So definitely a lot of luck involved, and my best overall event I think I've ever played. So this line here, a line shown to me by my friend Jory. He came up with this basically lining on the second chevron up in that valley, 99% of power. I didn't actually make it in practice, but I got close many times and was very fortunate to actually make it here in the event. On this one, I do a big flex forehand with the DD1. You have a lot of room for error off that skip, and it definitely could have bounced into the woods one way or another, but ended up in a pretty good spot here. Anything inside 100, 110 feet, so 30, 35 meters or so, I'm feeling pretty confident with the logic. It's a very similar disc to the Hope, which is my main throw-in disc. Anyway, hole 4 here, didn't have much, wanted to give it a chance. We'll see how close I can get. I kind of lined this up, but I wasn't very confident, and I'm definitely going to be fine with the birdie there. Not that far off, and no harm, no foul. And we're going to get another birdie. Lining up hole 5. Uh, Again, this bag, it works out pretty well for me because both the PD and the Instinct slash Explorer use my normal bag, so I don't, I mean, I have a good amount of overlap there. I kind of use those to workhorse through a lot of shorter, more technical courses. So we'll see if I can get this one with the Instinct. Not that far off, distance was right, but left it a little bit too far left. That's not one I get often, but I know that the distance is right with the Explorer, so I don't know. I could get it. Every once in a while I go in streaks where I get that one. Here's one of my most aced, if not most aced holes in the game. The line's just a little bit different with the logic compared to the Hope. So on this, I had a serious brain fart. I couldn't remember if my aim point was the second or third chevron. That's been happening to me every once in a while recently. So I was like, what is happening here? Which one is it? Eventually, I end up selling on the top one. Aim point is a little bit higher than it is with the Hope and a little bit more to the right than I normally do, just because the logic has a little bit more fade than the Hope. As you can see, I sat here for, I mean, it felt like forever trying to decide if I wanted to do it on that chevron or not. I was lucky to choose the right one, and boom, I'm in. So I was kind of smiling to myself uh, after that brain fart and then actually making it. Couldn't believe it. Pretty sweet. Plus, I was just kind of riding high on the fact that I've already aced twice. Pretty cool. And here's one I get pretty often. This is an Aaron Christensen line, adjusted a little bit for the wind, and then I'm also going to adjust with Anheuser for the wind, and I got it just right. That's one I get pretty often, but not often in the 3 winds. That felt very good. Hole 8, this is not one I run for an ace unless I'm desperate or I'm playing really risky. It's just not one I can get very often, so just wanted to put it up here close. Not my best layup, but obviously plenty good enough. And we're in for a birdie, and we are 12 under through 8, so very good pace. This is another one that I normally run with my Explorer slash Instinct. It's the same disc, so if I refer to one or the other, just know it's the same one, just different name. And I got very close, hit the rim. Would have been a 4 ace round. That would have been pretty epic. Either way, I was not upset in the least. It was a very hot round, and I think it's the only 13 I saw on the scoreboard, so I felt pretty good about it. Elwood definitely going to be tricky, technical holes. Basically, just kind of want to get myself within 80 to 100 feet ish on every hole. That's the goal. This 150 feet, plenty good. Going to do the putting motion. Again, anything inside like 55 feet, pretty much I'll try to putt unless I'm just not that focused. But anyway, hole 2, I feel like the PD2 is a pretty good disc for this hole. I love the consistent fade without it just being an absolute meat hook. And here I would have liked to have gotten a little bit closer, like to get close to the water's edge to have a great chance at it. Either way, 180. In my mind, I'm pretty sure I was trying to give this a run, but I was really chicken and I didn't want to go deep, especially after that hot round. In round 1, I didn't want to do anything stupid. So in my mind, I was like, maybe it's a run, but I knew it was short, and obviously it was short, so that's all right with me. Anyway, we're on to hole three. This is one I ace run with the instinct normally, and that's what I'm gonna try to do here. Aim point a little bit low due to the wind, but sent it, and boom, snuck it in the bottom right corner pocket. And that's four aces in the first 12 holes of this event. Very unusual, pretty awesome. I mean, it was just feeling magical at this point. This is a disc I normally use on this hole, so no sweat there. Elwood is a very good course for me with this bag just because PD and Instinct come out on a lot of holes. Same with Blueberry Thicket. So I did have pretty high confidence coming in, and so far it's worked out great. We'll see if I can keep it up. DD1, I normally go Turn Glad Rive here. At least I often do. It's one of my normal plays. And this one could have gotten bad. Luckily, I was able to. Actually, no, I wasn't able to. So this one left me in a pretty tricky spot, and I decided instead of anything else, I decided to power through, put a little bit extra power on it, and I barely snuck that in. So definitely a little bit lucky there. I'll normally go a roller on this hole, but this bag doesn't have a roller in it, so I've kind of adopted this PD line to fit this. Caribou's reminded me that I need a little bit of caffeine. And yep, here we go. Pretty easy birdie there, and still off and running. So yeah, feeling pretty good at this point. Know that if I can keep it clean, I'm probably gonna have a good chance to win the event. And this hole, this is one that I have learned an ace line fairly recently from Aaron, but don't have the right discs in the bag. And PD is one that I'll use sometimes anyway if the wind's bad. So normally I'll go accurate roll musket or something of the sort, but PD's really not bad for it at all. And had another pretty easy birdie. So been able to stay pretty stress free here, which is the way we like it. This one, I am just hoping for birdie. I could probably get aggressive and try to backhand through the woods there. Didn't want to mess with that. This is about perfect. If you can get here in any round in any bag, you'll take it. I mean, an event. I mean, there are obviously people who are trying to eagle it more often than I am, but I felt very good about it. And yep, just wanted to get through that gap. No problemo. And I'm in for this birdie, which is one of the holes I was worried about most on these first few courses. So that one feels pretty good. Now we're on to hole nine. This one I normally go roll musket, but I know I can use a pretty similar line. I aimed a little bit inside and knew that the disc would fight through even in the headwind. So, yep, went pretty well. Once again, 50 out. Just going to aim up a little bit and ding in for another birdie. Another clean round plus one. So, yeah, that was fun to get that ace and fun to shoot clean on that round. On to round three at the Beast, front nine. This one I normally go musket, but I could have chosen either the PD or the instinct. This one I let leak in. Wow, got very lucky to sneak past that. I think probably my luckiest break so far of the event there. Felt good to get in and, might have thrown my mojo off if I had started the round with the par. Now we're on to hole two. Basically gonna aim this one out wide and expect the PD to come back in. Now I started to leak. I let it go way further right than I wanted, but still in bounds. Not that close to the line, but I was definitely getting a little nervous near the end there. Regardless, we're two under through two. So this one could go DD1 and try to make the gap, but I know with this win on the second shot, I'll have a good chance to get there. So I'm going to go with my PD. Pretty much in an optimal spot here. I know that the DD1 has the distance. Pretty good flight for this shot too with this wind. This is looking perfect to me now. Perfect, perfect. Can I get there? Can I get there? And bounce out the fence. It doesn't quite bounce out the fence far enough. You can't shoot through the fence anymore. You can shoot over it, but I didn't want to mess with that. I even put too much juice on that. That could have possibly slid OB, but just said I'm taking the birdie there. Didn't want to tempt myself to go for too much and then miss it and go out of bounds. So took the birdie. Now this hole, this one I love with my paradigm, but the little bit more fade on the DD1 is kind of perfect because I can turn it a little bit more so it can meet that little gap where those trees are. It's kind of a pinch point on that line, and then it'll fade back in time. So I like that. This one waiting for the right sway, and I actually let it get too high. Probably could have missed that. I mean, just barely stuck it under the band. And now we have a couple holes where I'm basically just going to try to, put it in putting position, get as close as I can to the basket. And yep, this one feels pretty good. Yep, going to be able to take a little putt, 28 footer, another birdie. And yeah, with another eagle there on hole four, I just really feel like I'm ahead of the game. So just kind of playing to not make mistakes, play comfortable, don't do anything crazy. The PD is a disc I normally use on this hole. It's a very tough wind, obviously, and I let it leak a little bit left. However, I'm still in a good spot, took a good kick off the tree. 69 feet isn't too scary. A little bit harder with it being a disc I normally don't throw in with, but man, the logic and I, we got really comfortable in this event. And yeah, I was able to sink that one. All right, with this wind, I was definitely hoping to have another chance at an eagle, but I left it inside and yeah, not perfect. And then I'm going to be a ways out here. So I take a look at this 180. Do I want to give it a run? Decide no. And I don't know why I chose the MD1, but just wanted to lay this up. I think that's the only time I've used the MD1 in all eight of the in all eight of the rounds we played so far. So, but yeah, anyway, these last two holes are just two more layups. With this bag, I don't think there's any sensible way to run either of them. And that was a pretty much perfect shot for me. A little birdie action there. And I am now going to do the same thing pretty much with a forehand on this hole, just tiniest bit of hyzer and put it in a good spot. And yep, just gonna make another one. And we are cruising through the first three rounds. So 13 under, 10 under, 10 under, all way exceeding my goals for those rounds. And then this round, I didn't practice for it. I figured this line would be similar to the Lake Glide Rive, but I'm a little bit further inside because I knew this would fade back harder. And yeah, um, worked out fine. It was kind of an awkward shot, but worked about the way I wanted it to. 95 feet. Haven't had many of these yet in this event. Either way, that one was pretty much perfect. Good start to the round. Here we have Blueberry Thicket hole 6 again. Tricky wind. I already aced this once in the event, so feeling pretty excited. Not expecting another one here. This time I do remember my aim point, and I'm able to nail it perfectly. That one felt amazing. Just knowing that I was already playing one of my best events ever, to go and nail that one in the fourth round here felt pretty great. This one, I feel like the PD2 is pretty stinking good disc for it because you just need one that consistently fades back and then you can just kind of lob it around the corner here, which is what I did. Little bit of collision, not going to slow me down much. Only 65 feet out, should be easy peasy. And I'm waiting for the right sway. Almost left it right, but obviously not too bad there. And I'm in a pretty good spot. Here we go, hole four. This hole is a stinker for me sometimes. You just kind of got to put it up in this area and hope it gets through the trees. It's fading, fading. I think it's good. And then boom, nail that tree and I'm rolling. I'm like, all right, here it goes. Bad luck's gonna start happening now. I don't know why, but it must have stayed out of the water just long enough. In the fast motion, it was hard to tell, but it kind of hung up out of the water for a bit as it flipped over. And apparently that kept me in bounds. So big break there to not be out of bounds. Almost made great use of it by sinking that. Regardless, huge relief to take that birdie. Would have really slowed me down if I had missed that one. Anyway, we had this hole once already in the event. Playing again, I think it's a similar wind too. Last time I went a little bit deep, so I took a little bit off of it this time, and this worked out a little bit better. I'm not behind that bush, and it's a pretty simple putt. Anyway, staying clean, four holes to go. Looks like we have four par fours left. Trying to figure out um, if there's anything else I need to run. Now, this is a hole I do like to run. It's a wind where you can get really close, but at this point in the event with how I was playing, just didn't see any reason to mess with it. It's still not a high percentage. It's more so a fun shot to me. I mean, it's definitely a realistic, good run, but it's not one I probably have a good enough percentage on to run in events and be smart about it. Anyway, that drive, as you saw, was a little bit lucky to stay in bounds. I pushed it further than I wanted to, but no harm, no foul. In for another birdie. We have three holes to go. Oh yes, Lost Island 3. Oh man, I remember this one. So this figured it's a similar aim point to my paradigm, further right, and yeah, this is looking good. Just stay in balance, right? Stay in balance. A great skip. Caroms off the tree, puts me in an absolute perfect spot. 110 feet, kind of my first one in this range in the whole event. Looking at it now, I know it's short. Like that was a terrible throw-in attempt. Kind of embarrassing to watch back, but you know it happens sometimes. I was kind of just trying to make it out of the event at this point. Couldn't believe how well I played. And then this one, another similar line to one of my Turn Glide Rive lines I use on this hole. Just kind of hit that big window there. And the skip was perfect, ground play perfect. And I'm only going to be, what, 166 out? Man, I could have made this one too. Um, but at this point, I'm just trying to get out of the event. This is about hope power. I should have put a little bit more on it with the logic. Either way, oh, right at the top of the rim. So close. So close. Um, yeah, kind of wish I'd had that one back. In later weeks, I might, but it's all right. Still playing very well. All clean scorecard so far. No pars, no bogeys. Just a couple missed eagle attempts. And this one, scary win, didn't know which discs to use. So I was just kind of shooting from the hip. Ended up working out great. I think a lot of people probably struggle with that hole just because it's not hard with your own bag, but with a new bag and a tricky wind, it's not the easiest hole in the world. Left myself a little bit short left. If you're up against that wall, sometimes it gets really tricky there. So I was a little scared, but obviously I gave myself enough space where it wasn't an issue. And boom. Anyway, thanks for watching. Just wanted to share that with you. I appreciate it. Catch you next time.